I'm gonna switch my Discord probably over to normal, so I don't have to keep hitting the button. There we go.
Nice.
I'm ready to go.
Hello. Ready, Freddy.
Hi.
All right, welcome to my talk on trim sheets. Here is a plane. Yeah. Anyway, I normally start trim sheets off with a plane. We going? Yeah, we're going. I've got everything I need. Make sure I've got the right program.
It's all good.
Yeah. Trim sheets are super easy, so I normally don't try to complicate things. I start with a plane, usually, because the idea of a trim sheet is that you're effectively making your texture first, right? So I'll just open it and show you what it looks like first. And then you're doing your modeling after, so it's not conventional. It's not conventional, like, modeling, UVing, texturing. It's kind of almost reversed.
This is like the final.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like in the end, and then I'll show you the process of how I get to it. So there's a few designs. It's all pretty much just normal information. That's what you're modeling onto the trim sheet first. I've just got a really simple. I just used the creature teeth because it was close to like old rock. It's nothing crazy. It's obviously just a tutorial, so it's nothing biggie. So yeah, that's what it looks like in the end. So the way I started it off was I started with a plane, and I effectively ended up just breaking it down into different segments that I want. Because for this, I had in mind, our project is obviously on like medieval buildings and stuff like that, and trim sheets. You can use them for anything. You can use them for characters if you really wanted to. Like if you're doing like a mech or a robot or something like that, even if you're doing a person, you can do it. But it's a bit more, you have to be a bit smarter about how you do it. It's probably not the best way to do it, but you could do it. But yeah, I already had in mind how I wanted to split this up and stuff. So I know I wanted some big bricks and some little bricks. I know I wanted a few design pieces as well. So I started splitting it up like that. And then I just started extruding that to make it actual 3D geometry to be able to build on. So yeah, I just started doing that, and then I started splitting them apart from each other. So using the extract. And then I just started modeling on top of that very loosely to get a very just loose, nothing crazy, nothing high detailed, because that's what ZBrush is for. And then after that, this is pretty much what I came up with at the end. This is all the Maya work that I've done. So again, really simple, nothing crazy.
Hello.
Nothing.
You started off with Maya. You blocked it all in Maya.
Yeah, because you can do it so quickly. Like all this hard surface stuff, that's what you're trying to do. You're just blocking it out in Maya. You can do it in ZBrush. Like I'm not comfortable with ZBrush as much as I am Maya. So ZBrush is a lot more organic for me, and ZBrush is a lot more technical, so I can get things blocky and hard surface a lot quicker. But notice that if I hit separate on this first, this is very important. So these are all bricks, right? If we go back to the texture, these are all individual bricks. So I've split them down into individual segments, and they all have tops, they all have bottoms, and they all have sides, but they don't have any back. That's not required.
It can't connect to my head
because when you're in ZBrush, this is what I modeled on top of. On ZBrush, those backs are completely useless. They don't do anything because your baking and substance isn't going to care about the back, so you can get rid of that. Also, another thing to note, this design here carries on. It overhangs a bit out of the sheet. And this, it does the same thing, right? That's because in ZBrush, there is a feature, which I'm not entirely sure what it's called. I can get back to you on that. But what it does is it uses symmetry, but only when you get to the ends of your design. So like say I'm doing a bit of standard work over here. It'll essentially reflect it over to the ends, but only when you get close to the ends. It won't make it symmetrical in the beginning, like in the middle. It'll just do it further away as it's a setting. I can't remember what it's called. I'll get back to you on it, but anyway, whatever. So once that's done, I've got it all set up. Like right here, I tried to get some more normal detail out as well. One good thing to keep in mind in Maya is that if you look, is it that one? Yes, this one. And I'll put it like this. If you look at it, how do you isolate the pivot in Maya? What? I'll deal with that later. That's not important. If you look at something in a plane perspective, like just through one axis, and you're trying to look at normal information, I've got the anti-aliasing and shadowing up so you can really see it better. You can't really get much detail out of it. So like right here, there's no detail difference between, these are all individual bricks. There's no detail difference here. However, if you're going to keep it in Maya, what you should do is, I'll just separate it up a little bit. You should do this. You should bevel it just a little bit, because that way you now have something that Substance will be able to bake. Good thing we're putting it into ZBrush, and we're roughing up all the edges anyway, because this is old brickwork. So this is just from a straight axis view as well. It's already got all that detail on it, so I don't really have to worry about it too much. But if you're keeping it in Maya, one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, anyway, put it into ZBrush. Is everyone getting this? Am I talking too fast? Is this good?
It sounds.
I'm enjoying it.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet. Thank God. All right.
It sounds good. It makes sense.
All right, excellent. Stop me if I stop making sense. Okay, so now this is in ZBrush. This has obviously got all the work done to it already, but what I've effectively just done is I've downloaded a bunch of brushes. I'll show you over here. I've downloaded a brush pack, and effectively it's got all these damaged rocks in it, like cracks. It's got concrete textures, all sorts in it. And I've just used those with their alphas. I'll load one up now, actually, just so you can see what it looks like. And this will really increase your speed at doing this kind of stuff. There you go. I'll grab one that I know looks pretty decent, which is this one. So like this is just a concrete texture. And it has its own alphas and everything already included in the brushes. I just downloaded it free off the internet. And that's how I did pretty much all of this textural work. Some of these cracks and stuff, they're custom, they're all me. Also all this edge wear, that's all me. I'll show you some good brushes for that. If you go into the light box and go to a brush,
oh, that's going to be
and then
super
go over
annoying.
to, what's that?
Be able to
Oh, that's someone in the background stuff. I got it. This is a good brush. Trim smooth border. That's a good one. I also like dynamic.
Did you get these from the ZBrush guide site?
I think so, actually. Yeah.
Modern
actually, no.
background.
Actually, no. Maybe not. I might not have got it from there. But yeah, places like that, I know of that place. They're pretty good. They'll whatever gets you that detail is. I mean, some people just like using like a good one for doing edge wear and stuff is flatten. Like that'll do it, but it's a bit chunky. Like if I lower this, especially using alpha on it, I can get some all right stonework. It's a very, very smooth. If I turn up the intensity, I bet that'll change. Yeah. It's good for stylized stuff. Obviously, that's very smooth, which is when I go in with this kind of stuff. I can fix that up and make it look kind of normal, kind of a bit more natural and stuff. But yeah, those brushes have cracks in them and stuff like that. And effectively what I'm doing in ZBrush is just trying to break up the silhouette, right? I'm just trying to like make them all individual bricks, make them all have their own contours, their own shapes. Yeah, what's that?
Do you use a cage baking?
I'll tell you what, once you've got all that and you export it and you put it into Substance Painter, I just use this plane. A cage baker might be the word for it. I'm not sure. I just grab this. I'll hide that and I'll get this. Yeah, I just get this plane and I give it its UVs, which it has already. It should have. There you go. I just make it go to the absolute edge of it. And then I FBX this out of ZBrush. I put it straight into Substance Painter. And then in your bake settings, it might be called cage baking, I don't know. No, I'm just using a high definition mesh. I'm not using a cage file. I'm not using a cage. I'm just putting my FBX, my high resolution, into here.
That's interesting. I'm curious whether it will.
Can I just interrupt for a moment, please? Sorry,
yeah, absolutely.
Good morning.
Hi.
I've heard from David that there have been some connection issues with the voice channels.
I paused the recording, so we.
Oh, that's okay. That was fine. That would have been like a nice outtake, I think. Where do we get to?
I was asking you about caging, but I don't think we need a cage because it kind of looks good in the thingy. I'm kind of curious about trying it anyway. No,
I don't see why you'd need a cage because that would just overcomplicate things, right? Because it would do the exact same thing to not use a cage, right?
Yeah, like you would. I think you're kind of right because right now you're sculpting on top of the high. You're painting the high poly, aren't you?
Yeah.
The thing with the cages is you would essentially bake the plane as your low poly, and you would make a cage so it scans all the way from back to front of your high poly, and then you just use the low poly. But that's if you want to do stuff on Photoshop instead of Substance Painter.
Right.
Which I don't know whether we'll need,
but yeah, I mean, I just did it this way. It worked out pretty well.
No, it looks good. It's cool.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
I mean, that was my end result. All I'm trying to do effectively by doing this is I'm just trying to get height, normal, maybe some like ambient occlusion stuff definitely ambient occlusion stuff like that. That's all I'm really trying to get out of it. Once I've got all that done, I export those textures. I usually use Targa. I've used PNG and stuff like that. I think Maya has some problems with certain types. I don't think there's really a big deal with using the difference between Targa and PNG.
Yeah, it's just the alpha channels.
That's it. I mean, I don't have any alphas, luckily, so not really a big deal. But anyway, once that's done, I export that, and now here's where the kind of semi-complicated bit, which is it's the modeling bit, but the thing that can make this tricky for a lot of people to kind of comprehend is it's a different form of modeling than usual. It's not conventional. So if I just hide that and I get my trim sections, right? So I have this, I have all that stuff that I've done, and from this I have turned it into this. So I've just brought in the normal, and I brought in the normal map, and I brought in the color, and that's all I need. That's all I need to be able to get the modeling done. Is I just need that to know where I'm putting the UV islands, and then just to make things easier to see. This is what I was able to make from that. So I was able to make this thing, and it has like some 3 dimensions going on.
That's cool.
And the way that I did that, I'll get to these bits as well. These bits were a bit complicated. Curve shapes and stuff were a bit complicated.
I genuinely think I just missed that entire.
Is he talking through your? His voice just fucking booms.
I know, it's like every time I want to speak, I mute myself on Discord and then yes, but that's just because I should have gone to a different room, but it's fine.
So
cool.
Here's how I did it. Here's what it looks like.
I like that stone that's sticking out that you've put there.
Yeah, I've got a few of them just to add like a bit more detail, right?
Oh, you can do that, can't you? Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, like just to add a little bit, and like you can even, because you've got that texture behind, you can even biff it just a little bit, and it looks kind of normal. It looks all right. This is kind of how games in today's world are kind of done. This is why this is so powerful. For artists, this is just immensely powerful. But yeah, so here's what I've done. Here's how I did it. So I'll take this because it's a bit easier to understand. So I'll highlight my UV island. That's what I've got. And instead of me, this is where it like becomes non-conventional, right? So instead of me modeling and then going through the UVing process and trying to like, you know, maximize this out and break it all up and get as much surface area as possible so my UVs are as good as possible, you know, I screw that. I don't have to worry about that, right? I've already got this 2K map, and I'm now just putting things on. So once I UV this out, I'm just lining it up with how I want it to look. And I wanted the, if I just hide this one, what I wanted is I wanted some big bricks down the bottom with this little design here. And so I just put it there. And it just comes out.
You don't need to worry about baking. You don't need to worry about over these because your textures are ready.
Yeah, everything's ready to go. So like as you
10 till 12 and then 2 till 4.
Oh, that's matched. I duplicated that. Those are symmetrical. That's
No, we're learning. We're learning how to do separate meetings in the same room.
So it's in.
But like you can see what I've done here. Like this is duplicated. So I moved that along a little bit, and this is okay. This is where it gets crazy. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is where you can get a bit funky with the way you do it. Like I have this. All of these bits, they do not have the same texel density as all the others, but the way that they're aligned and the distance that you're going to see them and stuff, you can't tell. So they all look to be similar resolution. However, this is significantly higher in resolution than this, and this bit here is a different resolution to one of those. All of this is different resolution, but you can't tell. You might be able to tell a little bit with something like that, but only when you focus on it. And that's another good thing about this kind of stuff is you don't have to worry too much about text density. As long as you're within a certain bracket, it doesn't have to be exact.
Yeah, and also we're far away, aren't we? We have a top-down camera, so we can probably do some.
Yeah, exactly, precisely.
And this sticking out brick stuff.
Yep.
So we could use that so well in the top-down because we can literally just put in custom details. Oh, that would be really good.
Oh, God.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, so I speaking of this as well, this raises a good point that is related to trim sheets.
Yeah.
We have decided for this game that we are going to do a mainly interior thing, right? It's mainly going to be indoors.
No, it's outdoors. It's entirely outdoors.
Okay, right. That's what I thought. I heard something different from someone else in the class, and it made me panic just a little bit.
No. It's like we're doing some interiors that we're not certain what we're gonna use for it. But like I'm imagining like this stuff, these kind of walls and things. I'm also imagining just bits of rubble and pillars stuff.
Yeah. This would be perfect for that.
It's pretty cool, and we can do stuff with this and everything.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing really that I have to show you from here that you might be confused about is how I did these stretchy bits. Because obviously these UVs become stretched, and those mess with the textures a little bit. Effectively, what I've done is I've just straightened them out, and they're so small that you can't really tell. I mean, imagine if you're in a third-person perspective, something like this. I mean, you're not going to be able to tell. If it was less dark, you might.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to see any of that.
Yeah.
So that's you're not going to be able to see any small changes like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
All right. I mean, that's all she really wrote.
When did you make this for this presentation, or did you do it before?
This was for this presentation. Now time-wise, whatever you consider this skill-wise to be, if you think this is really good, if you think it's really shit, whatever. This whole process, creating all of this, took me about 8 hours.
8 hours, okay. Well, that's not a small amount of time, is it? That's not.
No. However, from this texture, I can create. This only took me 10 minutes.
Yep. Right.
So this whole thing took me 7 hours because I mean, doing all these brickworks and stuff, that's a lot. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But once it's done, you never have to texture again.
Yeah.
So everything that's made of stone or in the same area can use this one sheet and to model all your stuff. So you're making dividends really.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much good. I think I like something I'd want to do is I want to like essentially play with this. Like if you can send it to me, like the high, the low, the textures, and just let me see like if I can mess with the textures and change them and see if we can even get variation.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, I can do that.
I think if
That's-
what we need is concept artists, the ones that are interested in doing environments, essentially they need to see this process, see how it
Yeah.
works, and then when they're designing environments, they can keep it in mind and be like, okay, I have these here,
Yeah.
be part of a trim sheet.
Yeah.
Just need
Yeah.
to make a trim sheet, and I don't know.
Yeah, that they can assign what assets would require what trim sheet, and they'd be able to do some utilitarian like what's it called? Reducing production cost.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Because I think we won't need more than like
So the best way to
2
do
or
it
3
is
one now. I didn't even think we can use this.
once you
Yeah, I mean, I reckon for the whole game, if you're going to do all your environment stuff via trim sheets, you'd probably only need like 2 or 3, like 4K trim sheets.
Can't we? So like
Yeah.
we can if we can change textures as well. So we can use them for the structures. Can you hear me all right? Because we're like we're
I can hear both of you all right.
okay, great. So yeah, I guess we don't need to figure out how many we're gonna have in future, but for now, I think we could even just start off by using this.
Yeah.
I'd like to just play around with the texture and see if I can, because it looks realistic, but it looks stylized as well. Like you have these blacks and stuff that we have in the comic as well, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to like, I've noticed in ZBrush there is a big difference when it comes to things like stone. Stylized stonework on ZBrush takes not very long at all.
No, you can do
And-
some funky stuff.
Yeah, you could it's honestly just those trim border brushes, and you just chisel away at these edges, and it creates a stylized rock in seconds.
Yep.
So I mean, if we decide to go down that route, I don't see why you would. This is just so efficient. I don't see why you wouldn't do it this way.
You can do it for like chunks of ice as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All of the ice stuff, and that might even be able to, if we have multiple materials on a character, we might even just be able to have one for like bone, or have the bone in some other trim sheet. Actually, you probably wouldn't want to do that on trim sheet. You might want to.
We can do that. Depending on the ice stuff, we can make an ice texture and a bone texture, and we can split the trim sheet in half. We need to test it because we don't know how it's gonna look, but that will allow us to make like enemy-wide effects. So we just need to make an effect for the texture, and we can apply any enemy that uses that texture. So we don't need to like apply breaking effects to every single enemy. We can just do it for the texture, and that applies to every enemy. We can make variation again, but that's so much more efficient than texturing every single enemy by hand.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think we're in for a win here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess now we don't need to worry about who is gonna do the environment modeling, because like I said, I think we can start. This is fine. Like you made this, we can use this. We can play the game.
I mean, is there anything else you want me to get done for Friday regarding this kind of stuff, or is that it? Do you want me to just hand it over to you?
Yeah, Paul developed. No.
I don't know, man. I think like this is.
There's nothing on master anyway, so if you pulled master, you'd only get 2 files you started with.
I'd have to ask Ed and see what he thinks. See if because he knows how much work people have. But what I can think of is if you would want to like try doing some stuff for like stylized ice and bone, just for like the height information, not texture. Essentially play around in the shader and try and get those fancy ice stuff you see online that are like stylized ice and it looks crazy.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. Right?
I don't like you've done a lot of stuff, or you've done like 8 hours of this. If you want to push on your personal project, I don't think that's unreasonable. But if you
dude, I'll show you my personal project, bro. It's going so fucking good. I started doing leg armor, son. Oh, it's so sick, boy.
I'm testing out masks right now.
That's a
As we speak.
front.
Dude, I'm doing leg armor and shit, dude. So fucking
Nice.
sick.
We are you doing like
It's
poly
AI
paint and
and
trim
voice
by features and ZBrush and stuff?
I am extracting from mask, and then I am moving all of the points from a really low resolution.
All right. Yeah. That's you can do stuff loads of different ways in ZBrush. Yeah,
Be
that's
easier just
that's
to
the other way.
see
Yeah.
what you're doing.
That's cool.
and help you
That's
out.
a nice leg armor, man.
Thanks, Ben. I'm gonna do the knee stuff today. I'd like to get one whole leg done, because if I get a whole leg done, that means I got 2 whole legs done.
Do you have good reference and stuff? Or you good?
I have sick reference, son.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right. That's me done, I guess. Hey.
Yeah. So I guess just if you send me that stuff just so I can mess with it, because I'm excited about messing with it. And
Yeah.
if you feel like you're like, man, I feel like more group stuff, I think the ice stuff would be useful. We don't have the character kind of rigged properly yet, and we don't necessarily need textures for it right now, but if stuff, we can start messing around with the shaders in Unity and see if we can get a look for it.
Right.
Yeah, you've only
That's
checked out. So
I'd have to ask Ed,
develop.
so I'll let Ed know whether he thinks it's a good idea to start it this week. But
Is this a fresh?
if you want personal
Is this
stuff,
a
just
fresh
tell
copy?
Ed like I would prefer to focus on personal and talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
All right.
Man.
Cheers.
That's great.
Cheers.
That's really useful.
I'll package that stuff up and get it over to you probably on Trello.